Hi, I'm Michael Woods. I want to talk a little bit about nitrogen and about sand. And I'm going to talk about growing grass in relation to nitrogen and in relation to sand. First, I want to consider nitrogen. Nitrogen is something that when I was learning about turfgrass management, I thought of it as an amount that we sort of had to apply in order to get good turfgrass conditions. So I would think that a certain type of grass, let's say bank grass, creeping bank grass on a putting green, might require something like 20 grams of nitrogen per square meter per year in order to produce the desired type of surface, which in that case would be a putting green, and that would be 4 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet per year. And I used to think in that way that there was some kind of requirement, that the grass needed some type of fixed amount. Okay? That's how I thought about it, let's say 20 years ago. And even when I was a grad student at Cornell University, I would take that annual amount that I thought the grass needed and I would divide it up into weekly or bi-weekly applications. So I was applying nitrogen every 2 weeks through what I considered the growing season. I would apply nitrogen to the grass and just keep it growing and constantly reapply nitrogen. Now, that is not at all how I think about it these days. And you might wonder, why am I making a soliloquy about nitrogen and about sand, which I will get to? Why am I doing that in the middle of a tropical rainforest? Well, all of the trees and vegetation around me, this grew. It produced a huge amount of biomass without supplemental nitrogen applied as fertilizer. And when you go through a forest, you realize that plants can grow to a pretty large size and produce a lot of biomass without supplemental nitrogen. Now, grass is not a tropical rainforest, and I'm not going to refer to forests anymore. But if we just consider grass, let's think about grass being a plant, and plants are going to grow. Plants grow, and then if we put more nitrogen, the grass will grow more than it would if we put less nitrogen. That is just the way that it works. So we can think of putting less nitrogen, the grass will grow less. Put more nitrogen, the grass will grow more. So now it seems if we think about how much the grass grows, then knowing how much the grass grows could be really important in choosing how much nitrogen we should apply. And what I like to do now, what I've done over the past 10 years or so, is realize that we can measure how much the grass is growing. I like to use clipping volume for that. And if the grass is already growing at the rate that we want it to or faster, we can not apply nitrogen. If the grass is not growing as fast as we want it to, and we want it to grow more, we can add nitrogen. It's really that simple. And that is something that I don't know why something so simple took me such a long time to comprehend. And somehow I feel like not everybody still thinks of it that way, because I see so many people putting nitrogen on a schedule, where I prefer something that I call a FFS, a flexible fertilizer system. So instead of applying 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen every week, or 0.5 grams of nitrogen per square meter every week, instead of just constantly feeding the grass at the same rate, I wonder why we don't look at how much the grass is growing, and if the grass is already growing at the desired rate, don't put the nitrogen. And if the grass is not growing fast enough, if it's not growing as fast as we want it, then add the nitrogen and increase the growth rate of the grass. So that's the nitrogen part, which I will just reiterate is as simple as checking how much the grass grows, knowing how much the grass grows because you're checking it, and then only applying nitrogen when you want the grass to grow faster than it currently is, and not applying nitrogen when the measured growth rate of the grass is already at or exceeding the desired level. That's something that I wish I did 25 years ago, and I wish more people did that, because I find, and now we're going to get to the sand part, I find that a lot of people have to put quite a bit of sand onto turfgrass to manage the organic matter accumulation that happens. And that organic matter accumulation is happening partly, or perhaps almost primarily, because of the nitrogen that is applied. So you have to think very carefully about the growth rate and trying to keep the growth rate at just the desired level. Now let's talk about sand a little bit, because sand for me is a terrible thing to grow plants in. Sand is not a good growing medium for plants, and the reason for that is because sand does not hold many nutrients, and sand doesn't hold very much water. So of course, one of the problems that you run into when you have a root zone that doesn't have many nutrients in it is you have to add extra nitrogen to it. So that's why it's really important to pay attention to how much the grass is growing, because there's no doubt that turf that's growing in a sand root zone is going to need some supplemental nitrogen in order to produce the desired growth rate. So you've got this linkage between the nitrogen and a linkage between the sand, and the sandier a root zone is, the worse it's going to be for growing plants in. The worse it's going to be for growing grass in. And that's why I would like to have a root zone that has as much organic material in it as possible. So of course sand is useful. Sand is useful for sporting surfaces or for high maintenance and high use turfgrass surfaces, because sand has two nice properties in this regard. Sand, there are a lot of insects here. Sand is resistant to compaction if you have the sand that is graded in the way that it will be resistant to compaction, and that's where things like the United States Golf Association green section recommendations for a method of putting green construction, there are tables in there that show the type of sand gradation or sand particle size analyses that will be resistant to compaction. And also, sands can have a rapid saturated hydraulic conductivity, meaning water can move rapidly through a sand root zone. So you have a situation, if you're growing in sand, where you can have a surface that can handle a lot of traffic because it's resistant to compaction, and in addition to that, the water can rapidly move through it. So when you have a heavy rain event, you can still use that surface for whatever you want to use it for soon after that rain event. Now, I like to keep those properties of sand in mind. I like to remember that it's not a good medium for growing grass in, but that we use it for resisting compaction and for having a rapid saturated hydraulic conductivity for water moving through it. Because just adding sand, thinking that adding more sand is better, is not the way that I think now. I don't think adding more sand is better. Just like adding the right amount of nitrogen is very important, adding the right amount of sand is very important, because if you have too much sand, you actually have something that is a particularly poor growing medium that requires more nitrogen than you otherwise would have had to apply. So now you get in this vicious cycle, and a cycle that I would not want to be in, of adding more sand and then having to add more nitrogen, And because you then have added more nitrogen, making a more rapid growth rate, now you have to add more sand so that the root zone continues to have the desired properties. And it's sort of like chasing one's tail, and it's not the way that I like to manage turf these days. Now, I admit that I've made recommendations in the past for certain amounts of nitrogen or for certain annual amounts of sand, but I don't make those recommendations anymore. What I recommend now is keeping track of how much the grass is growing and adding nitrogen to adjust that growth rate. And I recommend keeping track of how much organic material is in the root zone and how that organic material is changing in the root zone, how the organic material in the root zone changes over time. And if you do that, you're able to add just the right amount of sand in order to keep the desired characteristics of the root zone and keep the desired characteristics of the playing surface without having to add sand and add sand and add sand and then having to add nitrogen and add nitrogen and add nitrogen. So I like to do both of these things. I like to and think it's necessary to add some amount of sand and to add some amount of nitrogen in order to produce the desired turfgrass surface. But I would encourage you to do it very carefully. Don't do it on a program. Do it on a flexible system that you can adjust. This is a way of thinking about how grass grows, and it's a way of thinking about how to manage the grass that makes a lot of sense to me, and I wish I would have thought this way a long, long time ago, because growing the grass at the desired rate turns out to be really, really important, and it's something that you can do by keeping close eyes, keeping careful attention to how much the grass is growing and how much nitrogen is being applied. Now, I was thinking about some research, and I'm sure that I and other turfgrass managers would apply nitrogen based on recommendations from research. And that research might be, in order to prevent anthracnose, you might need to apply 15 grams of nitrogen per square meter per year, which is 3 pounds of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet per year. Or you might need to apply 1/10 of a pound of nitrogen every week, or that kind of thing. And that is the way that research is done. But if we think carefully about it, it's not so much that the nitrogen itself had that effect. It's just nitrogen was the treatment that produced the desired growth rate. What we really care about is how much the grass is growing, and actually what we really care about in that kind of experiment would be not having anthracnose or minimizing dollar spot risk or something like that. So if you're understanding what I'm talking about here, it's that when the research is done, we can find that a certain nitrogen rate may reduce dollar spot, or a certain nitrogen rate may reduce anthracnose disease, and a certain nitrogen rate may allow those diseases to be more rampant and cause more damage. But the nitrogen rate itself is like a surrogate marker, because I think that it's the growth rate of the grass that the nitrogen produced. It's actually how fast the grass is growing that has the effect on whether we are going to have a very problematic anthracnose outbreak or a very difficult to recover from dollar spot outbreak, or whether it's going to be tolerable. And so for me, I don't get so stuck on what the actual nitrogen rates are in these treatments, and I try to think more about how much the grass is growing. Because I'm kind of scared now of growing the grass too fast, and I think that adding the amount of nitrogen that can create just the desired growth rate can be really effective. There's plenty more information about all of this stuff in so many blog posts on my website and in so many videos that I've made or podcasts that I've made. You can find all of that at asianturfgrass.com. And for introduction to this topic and an overview or even a refresher of this topic, I'd like to recommend my book, A Short Grammar of Greenkeeping, which is a very readable book. You can read it in a weekend or read it in an afternoon, and it introduces the importance of growth rate and how growth rate is related to everything, and some of the tools that I like to use that are associated with that. Thanks for watching, and please let me know if you have any questions about this, and especially if you think I've gotten it wrong. I always like to hear from people if they think I've gotten it wrong, because I want to be providing the best information possible. So if you think that I don't quite understand how it really works, let me know and we can learn, and I can learn from you. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.